Welcome. I want to explore something that's been sitting with me, this sense of looking for something that feels missing. And I think many of us know this feeling in our own way. That had been really the driver of my entire life, that something felt missing, and there was this sense of restlessness that I didn't even recognize. I was restless so for such a long time, but I didn't really recognize it even as restlessness. So, and it also showed up as longing. Yeah, and we have different ideas about what will bring whatever it is that we feel like we're looking for. Um, we look for success, we look for relationship, we look for money, you know, uh, we look for different kinds of experiences, all hoping, what is it that we're hoping for? What is it that we're looking for and that we feel is missing? That's what I am inviting in this conversation. I mean, I definitely thought it was excitement. And so, I chased after that in all different sorts of ways. And then uh, at the root of things, though, I thought that there was something wrong with me that I had to fix. So then, there's this search going on. Uh, what is it? Is it spirituality? Is it uh, making myself uh, better in some way? You know, I didn't recognize all the ideas that I was holding early on, the assumptions that I was making. And it's so interesting because life just tends to unfold it all. I mean, it's not, it seems like I was on this search, but it was really, I come to discover life just unfolding in the only way that it can. The search can take on many forms. For some people, it's getting a bunch of, college degrees and advanced degrees. Um, for me, it was, like I said, searching for adventure. So I, you know, didn't even do college until much, much later. Uh, some people, it feels like having a family. Um, Everyone has their own thing that they're searching for. And the question is, what is it that we think is going to finally bring this satisfaction and this peace? I can only speak from my own experience, and then you might be able to extrapolate from what I'm sharing to look into your own. But, after, by the time I was in my adulthood, my 20s, my later 20s, more likely, there was this sense that I was flawed and that I had to fix myself. And so that can take on many, many forms. It can take on, a spiritual search, looking for spiritual gurus or spiritual circles. Where can I belong? Where can I fit in? It can be, it can obviously take on education, except I didn't go that route. Um, it can take on, you know, searching for therapists, body work. I mean, there's just so many different paths that can seem promising to give this sense of betterment. And what I didn't even think about is, people who, you know, seek a role, some kind of a role that gives them a sense of purpose or gives them a sense of meaning or even, like a sense of importance. There's so many different roles, uh, you know, the role of parents, the role of, supervisor, having people need us. I mean, these get really kind of tricky because it's not um, recognized how and what we're searching for that gives us this meaning. So I spent years searching and going to different modalities, and finally, uh, after many satsangs, and of course, what was I looking for? I was looking to, find an answer to something that I didn't even know what was the question. Um, and that's kind of what kept things spinning for quite some time. What finally turned the tide was for me, finding a teacher where I began to recognize the assumptions that I was making about myself and about the world. They're just kind of like the clothes you wear, and they just are a part of you. But the assumptions made were that I was this separate character, that I needed to improve myself, and I could become that there were just things missing that I didn't have internally, and that would make me a better person. It's now when I think back, I can't even remember um, what those things were. Um, but I had this habit of comparing myself to other people, comparing myself to their understanding. I didn't seem, I seem to have gaps in my understanding. I mean, when I look back now, I'm just smiling. But, I guess it's the human condition. What I've come to discover through my own investigations as I've talked in other of these conversations is that what's here is not an object. It's not this individual that's flawed and trying to improve or become its true self. I mean, all of those are assumptions and ideas. Uh, they're the true self. What is that? That still kind of creates this separation from reality itself. What's really here is this full on experiencing that gets divided because of language and our concepts about everything. So, resting right here, right now, you can investigate this for yourself. The thought will make it sound or seem like uh, there's something here um, behind my eyes that's experiencing all of this objects. And that's simply a learned perception. We learn that as children when we learn language that separates everything. But, children don't have this division, young children prior to language. Everything is this um, field of experience, uh, different shapes, textures, colors, the rigid borders that we imagine around things have been learned. And especially, how uh, teachers and everybody is drilling into kids, pay attention, focus. So, that's part of the programming. But if I simply sit here and relax the gaze and let everything go just kind of soft and fuzzy, what's here is simply textures, colors, shapes, sounds, thoughts may go by, sensations may emerge, but it's all this flow of experiencing. And the whole idea of seeing through these eyes out there is all learned ideas about things. It's a learned idea about how everything is. And, uh, you know, there's me and there's this world out there. It's all just an idea. And the thing is, you have to experience this for yourself. This recognition for me came gradually uh, over time because I was exploring and experimenting. And what kept me returning to my Zoom meetings and retreats with my teacher, for a number of years, was the fact that I was holding these ideas and concepts, so tightly because, that's the way we understand reality. So the more I studied with him, the more I investigated my own reality in all these different kinds of ways. I write about that in Opening to the Mystery. I mean, it was just a continual exploration. And, for me, writing was the way that I just kind of internalized my experience. And and so nothing just suddenly changes, like all of a sudden, like I'm not this different person. The whole thing is so subtle. And what seemed to happen is these ideas and concepts and the way that I hold reality to be just gradually seem to fall away. The ideas loosened. They, it's just really hard to talk about. But what I can tell you is that, after the fact, I only noticed later that these ways of thinking, these ways of perceiving, even the feelings of, you know, uh, unease or dissatisfaction, especially the comparing, because I would really notice and look at these things. Uh, so they gradually fade away and they're not even recognized until later. I would journal about it and go, those thoughts and perceptions, uh, gee, they're not even around anymore. And so what was there? What is here actually in its place? It's simply the flow of experiencing. Labels aren't happening. Um, Concepts just seem to fall away. Thoughts just seem to get quieter. And it's nothing that I'm doing. There's no intentional trying to make things happen in a different way. really unfolding simply just seems to be taking place, um, certainly without any doer. And there's just an ease, there's a flow, there's, you know, just a sense of ease. And even when, like a so-called difficulty might arise, um, the whole ideas about it just aren't present. And so the objecting and the commentary is also has faded. Yeah, I think the best way to put it is all of the commentary, the conceptualizing, the thinking, you just don't recognize how often that goes on until it really starts to be noticed. And then in that noticing, um, there, the ongoing noticing, there just tends to be a fading of all the thinking and conceptualizing. I mean, it's not wrong. It's just seen for what it is. And it, I just kind of call it noise in the system. And, it was no longer necessary. So with that, the longing, the dissatisfaction, um, the needing to go somewhere, do something different, um, fit in. I mean, just all of that just gradually begins to fade. And it's not even noticed until, until it's kind of gone. And then it's like, gee, it's kind of quiet in here. So all I can tell you is even if there is identification happening, if I'm on the phone and I'm trying to deal with, an insurance company or something like that, it can be frustrating. There's misunderstandings, there's difficulty with communicating, so uh, frustration can appear. The feeling of frustration can appear as an appearance. And, so attention can appear in the body. But so what? It's it's not turned into a story. It's not clung to, when the whole appearance of the conversation, you hang up the phone, it's over. It's everything is just here and it's gone. And it doesn't turn into a story and on and on and on. It's just an arising. I like to use those examples of weather, whether a storm cloud appears and floats in for, um, you know, 10 minutes or half an hour. It's simply seen for what it is, and then that's it. And that's what seems to make the difference with when, attachment to uh, difficulties or thoughts about things or suffering, whatever you want to call it, when it's seen, it's no big deal. It's just part of the scenery. It's part of the appearance that comes and goes. And nothing is taken so um, intensely anymore. So, uh, again, I think what I'd like to leave you with is just the beauty of noticing, of how everything is a flow of experience, and there's no body separate from this flow of experience. It's all one field. This can be noticed and played with. So that's what really seems to make a difference, is recognizing that this is not an intellectual exercise of trying to achieve something. I mean, it's, how we're raised, we're always trying to achieve something, but it's really about noticing and experiencing what's already here, what's always been here, and what has just simply been overlooked. So the invitation is to, in any moment, just be with what is here, see what it is without the labels or the conceptualizing. Just breathe, feel, sense, be with this that is. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts or questions. It's always lovely to connect with you, and I want to thank you for joining me.